Edoardo. Hi, Eric.
Yeah. Hi, Edoardo. Thanks for being here, host of today. I think like we met from like several mutual friends, right? Here, you also were part of the interview with Marcello Ascani. There's like a
Yes.
very cool video about your story, like 20 years at Google, like moving from Europe to Silicon Valley. So I think it's gonna be a very interesting conversation. Like Eduardo has a lot of very cool stories and a lot of like insights that he can share for the next generation, and especially for people that are outside Silicon Valley and want to understand a little bit better how the ecosystem works and its evolution also over the years.
Sure. So, nice
Yes,
to meet
like
you.
I want to say that we're very happy to have you here, and yeah, because you've traveled a lot, like from Italy to London, and then now you are in Silicon Valley. So you started your journey like a long time ago when internet actually wasn't didn't exist almost. So we were curious to know what was your journey, how did it start, and how was the life also back there, and the change like from there to now.
Sure. So, Eric, Alessandra, Aurora, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Yes, it's the span of a 25 years career in digital, pioneering. You're right, because the internet, in a way, I mean, was already there when I was there, but I had the pleasure because of course, I started Google. I mean, Massimiliano Magrini was the managing director. I was the head of operations. So we co-founded Google. And then we a lot of history from Italy, Fabrizio Milano Tarragona, that now is Datrix. Massimiliano Magrini is the lead with Paolo Gesses of the most important Italian tech fund, United Ventures. So a lot of history on that side, and a lot of things that we have done and we are still doing and we are seeing here. Of course, for me, it's a path that has seen me, sort of, my you mentioned the interview with Marcello Ascani about 20 years co-founding Google and bringing Google to Italy, um, and developing so much of the cool technology that we have now. I mean, we go from Google Maps, Google Earth, YouTube. Actually, that I have a feature today that was a gift. I mean, this is a memorabilia from Susan Wojcicki that unfortunately she's not here anymore. And the YouTube team we launched in 2005, and was everything was like we had to pave the road. It was a dirt road. There was nothing there, so we had to create, let's say. With same style I would say, with a brick and mortar, as they say here, or I would say Malta e Cazzuola, as we say it in Italy. We put together brick by brick every single part of the infrastructure of the highways, the digital highways that now sees us, of course, interacting, video recording, and communicating globally. Um, of course,
And how did you manage, like, to make people to trust in all these new technologies? And because, of course, it was something really revolutionary in that moment.
So luckily, I would say I was always very curious. I was mentioning before. I mean, coming from a family that was at the time, it was, my mother from Milano, a journalist. El Giorno. El Giorno was the internet of the times. Was the newspaper founded by Enrico Mattei, and my father being an entrepreneur that launched first. With Anna Bonomo Bikini La Base, and then Postal Market, which was the precursor of Amazon. I always had kind of, these genes of curiosity, of being very open-minded, and also the part of being half from northern Italy and the other half and the half from the south allow me, in an era which is not your time, right? Now, just to give you an example, for us having one person in our class, in our high school, I went to Liceo Classico, that was attending or doing the Erasmus program in Europe, was an event. Everybody was getting close to these people when they were coming back. How was, wow, you went to France, you went to Spain. And traveling was a lot more complicated. Now it's literally the click of a button on a smartphone, you have the app, you book your plane, you go on the other side of the world, and you have your generation is used to, for example, to study computer science at the Hack in Holland, right? For us, it was not like that. It was a lot of having sort of your compass had to be very straight. You kind of experience by experience build this ladder, and that would take you to the next step. And the next step would have been again interacting, as you say, with a very difficult market. I mean, the European market is not the most prone to technology. I was mentioning also in the interview. The first appointment coming back from UK, I worked there for 3 years. I was also a pioneer in digital there, and launching the new form of digital advertising that was not existent. We went from banner, CPM based, cost per mille based, to pay per click, and they propelled literally the internet. And was for Google, I think is now around 60% still Google Ads. So just imagine, after 25 years, it's still 60% of the revenue are the results of AdWords, now called Google Ads. So it was very, very intense, very difficult, because people literally were like, what is Guli, Guguli, Gugulu, and at the end I was Ugo Italia. Yes, we are Ugo Italia, exactly. We are in the lobby, and we should be received by and this was like insurance company, banking, the government, you can imagine. But little by little, we were able to progress. I mean, I have a lot of anecdotes, but we were able to do one of the most important global campaign in politics with Giovanna Melandri. Was for the I think it was the Partito Democratico, the Democratic Party, and it was for the youth, to basically intercept all the keywords of let's say discomfort from the youth, of depression, and kind of routing them towards gym aggregation centers where the youth could get together and be supported from a psychological point of view, but also from a lot of activities, physical activities, and sports, into the good values that we have, right? And this was one. And then little by little, I was the first one that put a video, a political video, and let's say wrap the I think it was a masthead and a pre-roll video that we also have today. But for a political party and for a political person, it was Antonio Di Pietro, Italia dei Valori. It was the first video in the world, advertising video for a political figure, right? Nobody in the world thought that social media could be a way to, propagate the message and find new adepts, right, in the environment, and find new voters for your political party. So it became a huge case study also here in Mountain View, and now we know that basically politics runs through social media.
Yes, yeah, we
So
know.
the-
Yes, it like so the skills that you had to work in that environment, because you've studied political sciences and economics in your bachelor degree. So, first of all, how did you manage to stay in this online and fast-paced environment of that time, and what did you explore in your advantage, given the skills that you had?
Yes, this is something also valid, also for the young people or nowadays, the entrepreneur and the youth. I would say the same approach that I had yesterday is the same approach that I had today. Start working on it. Throw yourself. Start what they call it here, tinkering. Right? You start not only as a simple user, because this is also a lot of the problems that we have in Europe, that people is a passive user of all this technology. No, you start going behind it, right? You start coding a little bit. You start literally working, find workaround, find going behind the scenes, see what is the technological part and how you can add a little piece, what I call a little quid in Latin, right? Every single day, in order to grow your knowledge. So when you introduce yourself, you're not only, oh yeah, I've seen YouTube, it's fantastic. No, you know how to upload a video. you know how to edit a video, you know how to uh, couple and match the video with the correct, music or whatever you want to do with your video, right? You know, the effects, sound effects, whatever, right? But just start using these platforms and tools, and start literally working with them, and not like the scare that we have in Europe. Oh, I don't understand that thing. There's still people. This is how do you do? I never opened the settings. People that needs to put a signature into a PDF document is like you're asking them to for a PhD sometimes. No, Jesus Lord. I mean, this is technology, and this is what I found in the US. I'll be honest with you, and also in the UK, which before Brexit was the most advanced, in my opinion, economy and everything, and then they messed it up. But is this curiosity of quickly learning and understanding and making the tool something that is your friend, is not an enemy that you don't even know how to interact with it.
And I was also maybe because you worked first in Milan, then in London, and then you moved to San Francisco. And we wanted to know like the main differences that maybe you faced while working in all these three different parts of the world. So also if you had some insights
Yeah,
about your experience. And first of all, like the shift, I think, like from Italy to San Francisco. Why did you do that shift? And what experience did you have when you went there? Do you have a cultural shock, or I don't know what was your first impression of that environment?
Sure. So I did Milano, London, and then when coming back to co-found Google, I went back to Milano for 8 years, and then now I'm getting into the 14, 15 years that I've been living here. But I've started coming for Google here since 2004, so I've seen this sort of environment, society. What is the main difference? So going back to the question, I think you have to appreciate all the different nuances, and you have to navigate through it, right? And pick the best out of the different systems. So, for example, I'll never forget. The institutions. I hope that in Italy the system in terms of university seems that he's changing gears. I see now new talent coming from Italy because I'm a European Innovation Council mentor. I see across the board, and I am a resident mentor at the Italian Innovation Center Innovate here in San Francisco, and the Swiss Next, the Swiss Innovation Center that was kind of the first one that was open in Silicon Valley, and then I collaborate with Plug and Play with a lot of venture capitalists, a lot of accelerator and innovation centers, 500 global. So what I can say here is I hope what I see is that a lot of Italian startups and European startups, luckily, they come with a baggage of knowledge that has improved a lot, right? This seems that also the new kind of uh, education system with the 3+2 kind of university graduation system that is in place is improving the knowledge, is improving the agility of a system that was completely ingessato, completely in a cast, right? For us, it was like barely, literally accessing to I baroni, like the barons of the university, people that unless you have like a way to access to them, 20% was accessible for us. The IT 80% was just pure theory, grabbing a book, pointing a finger, and say, okay, page 1700, comma 2, paragraph 3. What does it say? Say, wait a second. It is knowledge, or it just am I a parrot that I have to repeat? What do I apply of this? What is like learning by heart a book of 1700 pages? What kind of practical use I will have tomorrow? So this seems to be improved, thank God. So I see a lot of innovation coming. For example, University of Cagliari, Milano, Trieste, Puglia, actually there, and Campania as well, Napoli, and I think is San Giovanni a Teduccio also. Um, And this is in a way reassuring because, as I say, the changing mentality, the changing education helps a lot. The main difference, of course, um, you know, the Mediterranean world, of course, is a lot more different from the, let's say, the Anglo-Saxon world, right? The Anglo-Saxon is based on meritocracy, is based on, moving the needle, KPI, performance based. So, of course, going to London helped me a lot because you were even with early CRM system, we were monitored every day about our performances. So they already gave me a good heads up about how the system would have been here. Then going back to Milano, it was like being in I don't know, like a rocket ship, right? Think about Star Trek or Star Wars, right? It was literally being there, but we could have been everywhere. Was working night and day to make Google successful, and you need to have a drive, you need to have an ambition, right? That leads you, because there are so many hours. And that's actually a good anecdote for you guys. There were no extra hours paid. So I'm talking, like, seriously, it was not 40 hours, it was easy 80 plus hours a week, easy, no overpaid. And the salary and the stocks in Italy was nothing incredible, right? Nothing incredible that could have made us multi-millionaire, right? So, like our counterpart here in the US.
Yeah, and also you arrived there before the IPO of Google, right? So like
Correct.
it was also the IPO. So how was that moment, and how were also the amount of the shares compared to the IPOs now that you're experiencing?
I'll be honest with you. Compared to, I was telling Eric before, compared to the moment, right, in which you see all these videos about, yeah, this startup has got 2 million in Silicon Valley. They raise 100 million in London, or in Milano. They raise 50 million or 200 million. This is a this is not a point of arrival. This is just a starting point. That money will not be in the pocket of the founders. This money we basically are needed to run the company efficiently and to generate the products and scale efficiently, right? So how was it in Milano? In Milano was the IPO. To be honest, it was very early days. You guys have to think about it. It was 2004. So for us, it was August, I think, 2004. So only 3, 4 companies were doing stocks at the time. We're talking about 3M, IBM, Microsoft, and us. So they gave us a bunch of stocks. Fantastic. Of course, we were hoping they were skyrocket, but they went on the market at $80 each, right? So it was exciting, but honestly, we didn't have the culture that people had here in the US. I can only tell you that my counterpart here, some of them, they walked away with tens of millions of dollars, and they was like first or second job.
So also yes, this difference, and also like how you managed to gather the resources. Also, how was like the founding work before, also in Italy in the moment of Google, and in comparison to how it works now. Maybe also the fast-paced environment, I think, changed like during the years, and if there are any pros and cons that of the two different periods in terms of also relationships that was established between the founders and actually the people that financed the various startups.
So it was very interesting. What I did, because I had the biggest team at the end, because Massimiliano was looking after the commercial side, so all the sales part, while I had the operations. So it was all the operational engine of Google, all the account managers, all the optimizers of the campaigns that we were looking after for the top Italian companies, and not only because we had a little bit also of foreign countries also that they were like served by us at the beginning. So it was not easy, and not easy at all, because again it was the example that was mentioned is like we were laying off the tracks for the railway for for the trains, right? And nothing was there. Nothing was there. So literally, there was nobody that was doing digital. Nobody that was a an online digital marketing specialist, or there were no social at the time. So what I did, I tried to be honestly. Have this mentality of getting the most efficient people, but the most diverse people in the true meaning of the word. So using lateral thinking, since we didn't have people that did this before, and I went and I hired a team. I mean, it was like reviewing 5,000 resumes, 400 passed, kind of scrutinized, and they passed the test, and then hiring between, it was like 45, 50 people, and a lot of these were. At first, I started from my team in London, because it was obvious, right? They had already an expertise, but in Italy, no. So I went to a lot of. There were a lot of people coming also from not only northern Italy but also southern Italy. So people from, you know, from Napoli, from Rome, a lot of women as well, and we were right, because that team, in the true meaning of diversity, just bring the best of yourself to the company, but follow the input and think about the company as a team. And this was the best part, right? No individualism, no just solo player, trying to align the team to make sure that whatever was passed by the US, we implemented the right way, or we launch it our own way in a successful, let's say, way, in order to achieve the incredible targets that we had at the time. And so, true, we were working like madness. We were looking like crazy, and we made it. We made it because after, I believe, 4 years, we moved into the new office. There was in front of the Duomo, so in Largo Augusto. So we moved from a Rigos Business Center that was in Piazzale Biancamano to a proper office that was completely also customized and furnished with Google Team and Google Colors. So it was that. But true is that there is a lot of marketing also in terms of colors, in terms of you come here, you eat free food, you play your games, and then you work a couple of hours. No, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So again, these were the main differences. Of course, adjusting to a society like the Italian society, pluses and minuses. Of course, the adoption was not the easiest, but little by little we were able to speak with smart interlocutors and get traction. And now we see the results also, of course, after 20 years in Italy.
And it felt like in all these years that you work at Google, maybe we were curious about what were one of the most revolutionary global strategic initiative that you did. So what? Yes, also when you went to Silicon Valley, because obviously you started from Italy and then you moved to such a very different environment that was, and you had a global, like a global role as operation manager. So also you had a huge responsibility, and we were curious to know about some insights or anecdotes about some initiatives that you liked a lot.
Yes, sure. I have many. Of course, coming here, operation manager in Italy, we brought the country from zero to millions to billions, but this was an entire country, right? Then I get into a team here. They want to leverage my expertise as head of operations in Southern Europe, and having putting together all this team with all the processes, the workflows. They wanted to replicate this at the headquarters in Mountain View. And this is the holy grail. It's where everything happens. Everything that we use, everything that Google released was created in Mountain View. And it's, of course, close to where the founders are, where the first employee that I know personally, Craig Silverstein, was hired, and all the most incredible Andy Robin, who invented Android, which is the operating system that runs on 90% of the global phones, or Urs holds head of the infrastructure, or Susan Wojcicki, that was the CEO of YouTube for many years. So some of the most incredible projects were, uh, I would say, a couple. I mean, Google Partners, the platform that will be used, and I kind of molded from a business standpoint. I was representing over 20,000 salespeople here, and so we've a very strict, like project management, product management, and following all the criteria of agile methodology. We put together a platform that was basically scale and hyperscale to the whole world. Every single agency that wanted to work with Google had to go through that platform. It had to be flawless, and it was a lot of work and a lot of you know. Anecdotes, working with core the corporate engineering team, the white glove team of Larry and Sergey, right? So I was representing the business side, and so all the requirements needed for the team, the sales team, the marketing team, the legal team, the training team, in order to use a platform that would serve all the agency, and was so important because all the certification for the Google advertising or analytics or YouTube, everything was taken on that platform. And also all the content, all the material, the training, the insights were uh, constantly updated on that platform. So I was representing the business, and of course the engineering say, no, we don't like your requirements. These are going against our ideas because you are polluting the index, right? Because there was also an internal search engine that wherever country, where Indonesia or in Bangkok or in Milano or in Paris, was basically allowing every customer to type into the search and find the top ranked agency that could serve it, that could serve them for their advertising. So I remember this as a global launch. We went to Toronto. It was 2007. It was my first kind of massive global launch, and it went well. And then I remember also scaling a team like as a head of operations, like channel sales, and we launched the channel partner management. Huge ties with Italy because one of the top customer was Pagine Gialle. We were using as a channel partner manager, say at Pagine Gialle, to resell Google advertising to small and medium businesses. And then I remember that, and then of course building a global network of partners, and then scaling with API technology, and going to the kind of platform like Etsy, like Shopify, and reselling automatically, and that billion became, I mean, tens of billions of dollars, and that was massive, massive.
And
Last one
like,
that
mm,
the last one, another important one was also the launch of the Google community, 2 billion plus users. You can imagine the responsibility, and this is a nice anecdote because the head of engineering told me uh, 20 years ago, Google, it was to 2023, in which also I went to New York. I presented to the audience, internal and external, all the Google engineers, uh, the Google community, which is the one that basically all of us uses when we buy an Android or an S camera, and we have questions, or we need support and assistance. Redirects, basically when you type into Google, redirects to the community, which is um, basically support of google.com, and there is a partner community of helpers that allows you to get replies in real time about your issues, and they will assist you. And this one was also a milestone, because you can imagine the responsibility. And the engineers were telling me, you not only care about the internal teams at Google, so the sales team, the marketing team, but also you have at heart the end user, which is the key to our success. And this is the core of innovation of Google. So there was a huge, huge moment for me.
hey, in fact, like when you were a product manager, you worked at the Google headquarters. So maybe like you work hand in hand with the senior Google leadership. And so maybe there was something that you learned from them, maybe some insight that you want to give to us.
Sure. So is I have to say the master and commanders of Google. A lot of example. They were also. I'll start with a funny one. So we get into one day. There is we had this TGIF. Thank God, this Friday it was launched by Google in order to embrace the whole team and give an update about products every week. I would say on after a long week of work on Friday, then we move it to Thursday for the Asian Pacific market. On one of them, Larry Page asked to all Googlers to switch to the Android phone for their work and use no laptop whatsoever to perform their daily tasks. After 2 weeks, Larry Page came into the GJF and said, it didn't work out. You can imagine, I mean, just working on your phone and your eventually tablet. I mean, it was a fun fact, but you learn a lot. You learn a lot. A person that I learned a lot for sure, Massimiliano Magrini. Internally, we have a lot of also Fabio Vaccarono. We kind of work in parallel. I was when he got appointed as a CEO in Italy. He said you're going to be our man at Havana in Silicon Valley. So we kept, of course, a good relationship also to nowadays. But learning from these leaders also here at the headquarters, we are talking about again, from Andy Rubin, from Susan Wojcicki, from Urs Holt. So when you work at a level, is the mission, the drive, and true, we shifted a little from the philosophy of don't be evil, but I have to say a lot of the Google products were so incredibly good and still are helping the world to navigate the future. I mean, guys, we are on YouTube. I put the t-shirt from Susan, and he's still here. And we have a whole economy has flourished around this platform. I think we killed Google Plus. We didn't go against Facebook, and I think it was in a way, it was a pity. But I understand it was not our core. But what you learn from here is absolutely, focus, open mindedness for the good leaders. There were also bad leaders, honestly, bad leaders, and a lot of conflicts internally. But the good leaders really, they teach you, really the moonshot, the famous philosophy of shooting your rocket to the moon and working tirelessly with no difference, no bullshit, no, there is only dedication and passion to grow the business the right way and not taking shortcuts. And the plus was again working with such brilliant minds. Of course, you can imagine the difficulty. I describe it as running the 100 meters for the length of a marathon. And that marathon for me lasted almost 20 years. So I'm still alive. I thank God every day because I'm telling you guys, and on top of it, of course, you're asking me why Mountain View, why here? Also, I have a beautiful wife, 4 kids, so I've been blessed, and she's from here. So that's why, in a way, there was an incentive to come here, and it was a dream of mine, of course, to work at the headquarters because none of us worked for so long here of the old guard that was hired in Europe. So that brings it to I hope is a good answer.
Yes,
Yeah.
sure. And in fact, you said that you've worked in Google for a lot of time, but like in 2023, you have founded your own startup. That's Noah City, and we were really curious about why did you found that startup, and how did you manage to find the right co-founder, and how it is in general the path to start your own startup, and maybe if you want to do some comparisons with how was maybe before and how did you manage to start the startup then in Silicon Valley after the experience in Google.
So thank you for the question. This is relevant. I have two startups. One is the SCASI, Smart City IoT data platform for Smart City. And the other one is Moonshot One, which is a consultancy firm, boutique consulting firm that help global companies actually approach the American market and get it right, the right go-to-market strategy, the right approach to scaling and hyperscaling that you have here, and also don't fall into the traps, because this is, you guys have to understand, this is the most, despite seeing all the numbers that we see, the incredible rounds of funding from VC and investment fund and the ecosystem. Later I'll talk about the ecosystem, but is extremely competitive, is extremely cutthroat. You burn so much money, and without the right steps, you mess it up. There is no doubt in that. I mean, you can have the best ideas. If you don't have the right governance, the right team, the right product, and you're all fully focused, it's like when you go to the mountains and you are in a rope, right? You know, you are all linked to each other. If one falls, the whole line goes down, right? You know, the whole group goes down. So his personal interest and passion, he also giving back, as I said, being a European Innovation Council mentor, and also doing it in the Italian Innovation Center, the Swiss Innovation Center, and all the other Europeans, right, in which I kind of was a way to give back. I've been extremely lucky, so happy to support this company. Of course, here is also a market which is incredibly fast-paced and incredibly expensive here. In having a big family like this, so it keeps you focused on the next thing. So this is my passion is still here. So Smart City was, you can imagine, a kind of a mission, and that's why also I founded my company as a moonshot, like my legacy with Google, because think about it, all the data from the sensors that you have in a city, we are now plagued by drought and, like in the other day, what was it, in Texas, the amount of rain that falls in half a year fell down in 48 hours. So there are a lot of fires created by global warming, and shame who'd say that doesn't exist global warming. We are all of us are affected. We see incredible droughts and incredible also. We have to cut this one,
Yeah,
but we have
that's examples.
also incredible floods, or incredible droughts right now, and incredible floods, which are submerging cities. Like we saw what happened in Valencia, what happened in Emilia Romagna, what happened in Texas, here in Mississippi, what happened here was like 4 years ago. I mean, there was a red sky in December, was burning the mountains near San Francisco in Tahoe. It was apocalyptic, and same in Greece, right? It happened. So why a smart city platform? Because all this data from the sensors, now the city is thinking. Before it was tested by venture capitalists, they throw the chip, like they say, oh, let me try metaverse and also smart city. They didn't succeed because the infrastructure was not here. Now, the access to technology, the infrastructure, the network, the internet is everywhere. So with sensors, which are a fraction of the cost they were at the time, you basically are able to detect and monitor traffic. We know how bad traffic is in the city. We know the traffic lights, the lights, the electricity grid, the water, and parking. So how important is this? Basically to gather all this data in a platform and offer it to municipalities, so the citizen and the government, and do it the right way. So with sort of GDPR policy and privacy aspect being respected. This is the key core of Nova City and the Smart City platform. And the other one is Moonshot One, so gathering a pool of executive from Silicon Valley, or very experienced people that work here at the top level, and not to just sell consultancy. This is not my goal, but it's also to accompany young entrepreneurs like Eric, and I hope you tomorrow you will be after your graduation, but help you avoid the mistakes that we made, the mistakes that we have seen from the market, because out there are a lot of, as we say, very difficult people to deal with, a lot of people that wants to basically get money out of you, a lot of very difficult entrepreneurs, a lot of very difficult partners that we will have to navigate. And so having access to people like us could help, really help you propelling your company to the next step, to the next round of funding, or to the next revenue if you want to be self-funded and avoid being honestly maybe breaking your company in many pieces, but just retaining the ownership and being able to have sufficient revenue to propel your company to the next step.
Yes, in fact, you told us your journey, but what would you suggest to young entrepreneurs that would like to start their own startup, given that there is this unstable world and in which everyone wants to have their own percentage of the project, regardless of the main scope that the startup should have.
Sure, sure. Good question. Um, just follow your guts, follow your passions. Surround yourself with the people that, with your guts, you feel they have it, they have the same vision as you have, the same passion. They don't take shortcuts never pay in life, never pay. You think you can cheat on a release, you can release. Look what happened with CrowdStrike, right? The guy released without uh, the Q&A, appropriate Q&A. He brought down the world because this is technology. So you guys have to think that now technology and AI will make it a lot faster, a lot easier. AI in a way can be used to multiply your forces, but you will need to differentiate and have the component that will say, okay, I can partner with this entrepreneur and make something successful and meaningful. That's the way to go. That's what your guts are telling you in terms of passion, in terms of interest, and do the things the right way. And then if you fail, you will learn not to fail the same way the following time.
Yes, also because the competencies, now we are in a world that there are a lot of informations, but sometimes it's difficult to actually find the right knowledge to pursue maybe a business, in this case of startup. So you suggest that there are any steps that a young entrepreneur with an idea should take in order to start understanding how it works, because some people say that if you have an idea, other people will exploit it, and that if you give a lot of money to consultancy firms that will help you develop your ideas, actually you don't gain a lot from that idea. So also for people that are not from Silicon Valley but from other places like from Italy or other nations in which there's not such a knowledge on the topic, what would you suggest to do?
So always look for the sweet spot, always look for what is missing, right? Run your analysis first. Don't go half-assed. Don't go in an unprepared way, because the market will punish you so badly. And this happens not only for entrepreneur, but also for serial entrepreneur, or for people that have the arrogance of thinking that they can launch in the US and come here because there is a lot of disease, a lot of funding, a lot of money. This is the fastest, most aggressive and competitive market you can get. So I'm not saying that in Italy or in France or in Kuala Lumpur you don't have the same aggressive, but it's a domestic market, right? Here you're playing the big game with the big guys in Silicon Valley, so it's a lot faster, it's a lot more aggressive. So what I'm saying is, again, there is no secret sauce, or there is secret sauce. Surround yourself with the relevant people that have the same sort of ambitions, the same genes in looking for, after running the proper analysis and surfacing what could be a sweet spot for you guys or a good niche to develop a product. Team up with them. Surround yourself, I would say, also with good advisor. That is key. That is key, because will help you in avoiding so many mistakes, and make sure that the team is working and is aligned to work with the vision that the founders have. Right? Don't make the mistake that somebody's going loose or it's going the other way. Make sure the whole team, the whole rope is aligned, and then just work like crazy to make it happen.
As always, thank you.
Now,
And yes, last question. Like, if you had infinite money, like, what would you do? Like now, considering the current situation, the extreme emphasis on AI, and not
True.
only AI, like everything this is happening nowadays.
Yeah, no, two things. I mean, you mentioned also very unstable. I think also for the youth of, oh yeah, true, it's very unstable. But I don't think that my parents or your parents or your grandparents had anything easy to. I mean, think about the war. Think about growing like right now in Gaza or growing like in Ukraine and being bombarded every day and see people dead and stuff like that. So true, it's very unstable now, but we have to in a way think positive, try to do our best. Every single step that you take would be even a civic step, like picking up a Coca-Cola can and putting in the recycling can move the needle. This is a world that has lost the common sense. The common sense is what led us to be a 4,000 years civilization, right? And society, right? Help, respect, and do to others what you would like to receive or the way you would like to be treated. Don't be an asshole. Don't be a bad person. Uh, the misery that we see nowadays on the news every day, and violence here and wars, and and also actually we see is a lot of speaking about the use of social media for they don't cross the line. There is a line of respect and there is a line of disrespect. So everything that is illicit, from drugs to whatever, prostitution, is not normal. It's not true that it's everywhere. We see a lot now with specific cases on the Italian news or here. It's not true. It's not true. It's not that everybody's doing it. Not at all. Roll up your sleeves, work like every day, put your best out, and don't look at the bad apples. The bad apples were always there. The bad situation were always there. But stay focused, and let's create a world that is better for our kids.
Thank you
Really,
very much.
thank you very much for sharing with us all your journey. And I don't know if maybe there is a piece of advice that you want to give us, or maybe if our listeners want to reach you out, maybe on LinkedIn, or if you also suggest some readings or books or podcasts. I don't know.
I mean, of course, the video with Marcello brought me a lot of visibility. Also, a lot of people wrote me. I don't have the time to one by one, but thank you all. I mean, this is a career. Like as I said, if I made it, everybody can make it, and it's just a matter of the right ambition, the right passion, and being kind with people. Everybody has a history. Everybody has a personal history that might not be always the happiest, that social media is projecting. Actually, is bullshit, because nobody can have a life like that. Life is tough. Life is tough, and you have to coexist with this, but always be respectful. Don't disrespect other people. Work with passion. Again, don't take shortcuts. Podcast, you guys can tell me. I mean, is your podcast. Let's look at your own podcast. But I mean, apart from jokes, honestly, I'm not an influencer. I don't like that. But if I can inspire people and help people, I'm here. Way of reaching me out on LinkedIn. Right now, I would say my consultancy company Moonshot One is the most appropriate. There is a website, moonshot1.com, and I'm here, so happy to help.
Thank you so much.
It
And
was a pleasure to meet you, and I know that all our listeners will will remain.
understand
Yeah,
and
of course.
appreciate
Mhm.
this. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure was
Thank you.
mine. Hope to see you
Bye.
soon.
Thank you,
Meet you.
Enrico.
Bye.
Bye.